Hey everyone, welcome to Sunrise Extra on a Tuesday. Busy Tuesday. Wow. You guys all know what we're going to be talking about today. It is the wind, the smoke, the haze, the fires that we all experienced starting late yesterday, overnight, and into this morning. We are now getting a look at some of the damage. And I want to go to Rod Hill first because you were really saying, you know, the worst of it is over, but we will still see some smoky conditions and some wind today. Give people an idea of what to look forward to today. Yeah, so the update to the forecast, yesterday I really felt and we talked about it, often these east wind events, the wind gets worse overnight into the early morning hours of the next day, and then it backs off. But pretty high confidence at this point that the worst of the storm was, in fact, those winds that we had last evening in the hours of 6, 7, 8 o'clock, generally speaking. Now, with that said, the map behind me, the sandy tan colors, still show that the high wind warning from the National Weather Service, which started at 5 p.m. And boy, by the way, what bullseye timing that was. Kudos to the Weather Service. Right. They have this wind warning now set to expire at 1 p.m. They may or may not lift that a little earlier than that. This is what we're taking a look at. So there was a report that Matt got somewhere in Beaverton of 60. The report that I saw was 59 at 8:12. Government Island along the Columbia, 60-mile-per-hour pop at 7:40 last evening. Troutdale 55. PDX, the peak for the calendar day, turned out to be 52. That was in the evening. Fremont Bridge at 7:22 last evening hit 53 miles per hour. And the wind so far, since I got up and started looking at 2:30 this morning, I've really been up that long, yeah. The winds have stayed under 40, even along the Columbia River. Now, there's still the chance that we could have a 50-mile-per-hour pop at some point this morning, but for the most part, most of us are going to be in that 15 to 35 mile per hour range the rest of today, and then east winds a little bit less the next couple of days. Air quality, oh my goodness. Raise your hand, and I'll raise mine, if you have never seen at any point of living here thick wildfire smoke come in as quickly as it did yesterday. Agreed. And just give you that weird sci-fi feeling that you were in a movie. Yep. And something strange was going on. This was yesterday, is that right?
Do we lose his microphone, Brian?
It sounds like it.
Yeah.
Am
I still on? We see you, Rod. And now.
Oh,
yeah,
that was yesterday video. That was just crazy. That wildfire smoke thinned last night over Portland, and really not positive if it thickens up today or not. The forecast in the 80s assumes that it will, but that's a wild card. Air quality alert continues. And think about this. Now, I don't want you to go crazy on social media, but if you were going to make a movie about climate change, wouldn't you include what we've had for the last 24 hours? I feel like this could be a scene in a movie of climate change, especially down in California.
It was wild. We were along the Willamette yesterday down near West Lynn, about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Still bluish skies over the head. I could see it in the distance, and it came. You just watched it come quickly, like Rod just described, and by 5 o'clock, completely a different sky above us. And I was actually surprised. Let's actually right now get to a live picture from Chad Dehart, one of our great sunrise photographers. And this is the kind of cloud cover, or smoke cover, I should say, that I was talking about. And this is the way the skies looked last evening as the sun was going down. This is live, though, right now, out by the Oregon State Fairgrounds in Salem. And Rod, I guess we want to paint the accurate picture because we have mentioned a few times that perhaps the worst is behind us, and by that we mean the big gusts of wind.
Yeah, right. The wind speeds, yes.
But with all the fires that are popping up, and with all that smoke that we're seeing, for example, right there in Salem, we are definitely not out of the woods as far as this weather event goes.
So that fairgrounds is the evacuation point for so many families, and I was just seeing a video on Twitter. It is frightening of people who were evacuating last night on Highway 22. This is the Gates, Idana, Mill City, Santiam area. If you drive to Bend or Sisters or anywhere up the Santiam Junction, it's those little towns along the way. All of those have been evacuated, and there were flames to the roadway that people were driving through last night. It was terrifying. And all of those people, Highway 22 East has been shut down so they can use both of those lanes for all the folks who are evacuating out of there. Think about all the campgrounds. Brighton Bush Hot Springs, such a popular spot. Detroit Lake, really popular. Of course, Labor Day weekend, you know, lots of people driving back from Central Oregon.
Yeah. Look at Sky 8 there. It has been showing us some very dramatic pictures this morning. Earlier, it was in Malala at that lumber fire, but this is a live picture right now. Santiam Junction, which is again one of the fires burning in the area. See the white smoke, and it very wooded right there.
We also had that dramatic video that we can show a little bit later of you were talking about the highway there by the Santiam Pass where the flames were coming up to the roadways. We also saw the same thing in Clackamas County last night on Highway 213. So many areas that really are closer into the metro area than we're used to seeing, affected by the weather last night, the combination of wind knocking down power lines, knocking down trees, causing fires, and really widespread overnight. When we knew we'd see the worst of the wind, thankfully it sounds like, Rod talking about the fact that the worst of the wind may be behind us, but we're still dealing with the effects from that weather that started in the area last night around 5 o'clock and really does still continue here this morning at 7:09.
And this is the Beachy Creek fire that we're looking at along Santiam Junction. The interesting part of this, I was looking it up. It started way back on August 16th. The cause is unknown. It's still under investigation. It's just been burning in some really tight terrain that's made it hard to get to. But because of the heat and the winds, this thing really flared up and raced down the hillside. It's burning north of the town of Detroit. And it just was getting closer and closer last night. And that's when they forced those level 3 go now evacuation orders. The fire at last check, which was I don't know, before 11 p.m. last night, was only 513 acres. It'll be interesting to see how much it's grown this morning at the latest update.
Rod, you touched on air quality, but we did have a question. One of our viewers on the stream is asking about that. So can you kind of give us the overview of who needs to worry, how far north, how far south you're talking about when it comes to being unhealthy?
Let's show you some real-time action right now. So this is the Wells Fargo camera. I mentioned I was shocked to get up this morning and look up and see the stars. I didn't think I would, but that thick haze did blow out last night. Now we can see it on the horizon. And in fact, there has been some smoke that's been moving along the Cascades up to the north over the past hour or two. So this is tied into Oregon's Department of Air Quality map. And you can see the green dots are good air quality, yellow or moderate, orange unhealthy for sensitive groups, and the red just unhealthy for everybody. So there's a bullseye of unhealthy air right now up around Seattle and over to Wenatchee. There's a bullseye of unhealthy air that's south of Salem, down around the Albany area, it looks like on this map, and then some unhealthy air down in Medford. In Portland, the air quality right now, you see the green is generally good, and then south of Salem, again around Albany, I mentioned there's that red dot for unhealthy air to our south. But Brenda, I think this is the wild card part of the forecast today. What is the wildfire smoke going to do? Could we thicken up like we did yesterday? Are we going to be surprisingly just kind of hazy but still able to see the sky? I don't want to make a prediction on that because I'm not sure how it's going to play out. I will say a couple things real quick. I'm not sure if this is unprecedented, what happened over the past 24 hours for this time of the year or not. But as a forecaster, you're always concerned about high winds when you still have leaves on the trees. So this could have been a lot worse. Typically we get these windstorms in winter, when there's no leaves on the trees. And also, to get a windstorm in this magnitude with dry east winds as strong as they were during the heart of fire season, that's something, if it's not unprecedented, it hardly ever happens. So we may not know for another day or two just how much this has hurt the cause of battling the wildfires around our state either, guys.
I drove into work this morning. I took Terwilliger, which can be, it's obviously a very wooded area there between Lake Oswego and Barber Boulevard in southwest Portland. And yes, there were some down smaller tree limbs, but nothing major, which I was actually surprised to see. I went that way to see if I would encounter any serious issues. I was surprised that we didn't see more. But here's the deal. We need our viewers to chime in and let us know what they're seeing this morning. So share your pictures, share your videos. One way to do it is by texting us that number on the screen right there.
Wow. Look at that, you guys.
Oh my goodness.
That's Newport. You can't even see the Yaquina Bay Bridge.
You don't usually ever see that along the coast.
Incredible looking.
Newport was reporting about an hour ago east winds gusting near 40 miles per hour. And
you see the camera shaking there.
And our forecast models actually show there being thicker wildfire smoke in the sky today from Salem to Newport, worse than it will be here in Portland. And we'll see if that comes true. But right now, those forecast models look like they are pretty smart.
Unusual. Hey, we do want to get you some breaking news out of the Washougal area. East County Fire and Rescue says there's a wildfire in the area of Paradise Road and Northeast Rosemary Drive. This is the tweet they just sent out about an hour ago. They're asking residents within that area to prepare to evacuate. Again, in the Washougal area of Clark County, near Paradise Road and Northeast Rosemary Drive, for a wildfire or brush fire. So keep it tuned to that. You can follow CRESA. That's the emergency management
Clark County
agency.
Emergency,
Yep,
yeah,
right there on
services.
Twitter for the latest updates. And if I see any more, I'll shout them out. And this is Timberline, live at Timberline Lodge. You see the trees blowing, just thick smoke. And Rod, you were really warning people, you know, I mean, everyone coming back from Labor Day. So many places, get over the pass fast.
And still, I would say it makes sense to postpone any travel if you can today, going over either the Coast Range or the Cascades. There's just a chance that those big firs will come crashing down. It's not worth it. This is at 6,000 feet over the day parking lot, I believe. I will tell you, at 7,000 feet last evening, the winds on Mount Hood spiked at 64 miles per hour.
Ooh, look at the chairlifts. They were blowing sideways right there.
I'm told free chairlift rides today. No, just kidding.
No.
We have seen, though, on this angle, since we started to see this camera, the wildfire smoke again. There's a plume of it that's been working its way northward up along the Cascades, and we're starting to see this look more smoky as well. But yeah, the wind warning still in play until 1 o'clock this afternoon, with the best bet of continuing 40-mile-per-hour wind gusts being up in elevation. We're seeing it here.
And one other quick note to bounce back to the coastal area, Tillamook County Sheriff instituting a burn ban, obviously. They don't want anybody out there doing anything that could exacerbate the situation.
We have such dramatic video and so many dramatic pictures to share with you. I really don't want to stop showing them, but we also have lots of people chiming in right now on the live stream. I'm checking out the Facebook stream right now. Lisa Herrera chimes in saying it's smoky in Corvallis. And another one of our regular viewers here on Sunrise Extra, Renee Robertson, says she has a daughter at Oregon State University. She says the ash down there falling like snow this morning. Dion Roberts saying Oregon City was crazy last night. Elisa Root, another Corvallis viewer, saying it is raining ash right now here in Corvallis. So a lot of our viewers chiming in with what the situation is in their area. If you have pictures to share with us, like I was saying earlier, you can just easily text those to us, 503-226-5088.
Rod, do you know anything about this? I'm looking at a comment from Chrissy on our Facebook stream, and she says Staten would like an update on fire coming toward us, please. Do you know anything that you could?
I do not.
Okay.
I do not. I do want to remind people we're looking at Uquinna Bay right now, the Newport camera. Where's this at, Brian? Director Brian, where are we at?
I think that's the State Fairgrounds.
That's Salem? Hey, can we, that's the Salem Fairgrounds. And can we go to the weather map? One thing I haven't shown you real quick is this smoky haze forecast from our Futurecast seems to be absolutely correct in picking out this bullseye. See the blue from Mount Jefferson near Salem and over Newport. We just saw that Newport camera. So that seems to be exactly right, that's the bullseye plume of where it's just as bad and thick wildfire-wise as Portland had yesterday, and that shows that continuing. So you folks may not see the sky. You could be what Portland was yesterday. This is 6:30 tonight, and then let's see, and then we have some wildfire haze building across the entire area going into Wednesday morning, and if this is correct, really thick stuff near Portland and to the north and north of Tillamook and up into Astoria late Wednesday into Wednesday evening. So the east wind direction doesn't really get out of here until Friday. So we're going to continue to have air quality alerts, at least in parts of our viewing area, until Friday when we totally lose the east wind. But that's bad.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the latest on these fires. The Beachy Creek, and then you've got the Lion's Head, which is burning, southwest of Warm Springs. Beachy Creek and Lion's Head not burning too far apart from each other, around Mount Jefferson, and all of that smoke. Then you've got one called the P515. You've got the Green Ridge Fire, all blowing, west, and that is just creating this huge, massive smoke plume. And I think that is just going to be the story of the day. You know, the Central Valley area, Corvallis, Albany's, you know, Salem, getting the worst of it, it sounds like, because they are so close.
And Nina, I think it's worth mentioning that we're probably at least an hour or two away from the Northwest Interagency updating the fire reports from those fires. So we're not sure if we lost containment lines yesterday or not, but I'll be anxious to see those reports when they come out this morning.
Yeah, Rose Portugal on our stream is saying, I felt the smoke in my lungs and chest because we were sitting in Rock Creek Park by the lake, and the smoke came so fast and the winds were ridiculously harsh. You know, to your point, Rod, of really not remembering when something, bam, moved in this quickly.
Right. You know, I don't know, Nina, Brenda, Rod, you can all chime in, because yesterday you felt I did too. I felt the effects of the smoke. You could breathe it in. You couldn't avoid it. The last time I let the dog out was probably about 8:30 last night, and it still was so smoky in our neighborhood, and you could still smell it. Like, I felt like it was coming into the house. This morning, though, when I left for work, I didn't smell it. I didn't smell it downstairs when I was in the garage coming up here into the station, into the newsroom. So I don't know if you guys had a different experience this morning, but I felt like it just smelled a lot less smoky in and around Portland than it did yesterday evening, even as late as 8:30.
Yeah, it had kind of much more calm this morning.
I mean,
it started with weird lighting. Like yesterday, I got home from work, you know, like 1 o'clock, and just the sun was so weird. It's just that kind of glare, real yellow light that kind of falls. So I was watering the plants, and I mean, after living in Central Oregon so long, I'm very used to, you know, having it so smoky. But then the wind kind of started to kick up, and I was putting things away, and yeah, we lost power last night. It was kind of fun, you know, lighting the candles, and my daughter just thought it was, you know, very exciting, and maybe bedtime gets stretched later and later. Right? That's no fun.
You were talking, Nina, about those just crazy videos showing people driving through, you know, a road with flames on either side. And Sandy Reed Anderson says, my friends from Gates evacuated to Salem. They said it was the scariest drive ever. Fire all over.
And those are the people we see at the State Fairgrounds in Salem right now. We have that live picture that Chad Dehart, one of our photographers, has been providing us, and there it is again, all those people evacuating to the State Fairgrounds in Salem this morning. How about this story from Greg Tompkins? He says, I live in town but had this terrifying vision last night in the middle of the night, so he got up out of bed and he went to where he grew up in the rural parts of the area. He ran into a couple of firemen, he says, out there. Said the fireman told him it's extremely volatile. New fires could pop up anywhere at any time. Greg saying, man, what a scary night for him. I don't know what those terrifying thoughts were or what that vision was exactly, but it prompted Greg to get up out of his house and drive out to the country.
You know, it's probably worth mentioning, until we get a handle, and we don't really know at this point what the fire update is across Oregon and Washington, it's probably a good idea to postpone any long trips. My wife and daughter were on their way to Spokane yesterday. I think it took them 8 hours, like 3 extra hours, because they got caught in one of those. It was like my wife said it was like a whiteout. You know, you could barely see over the hood of your car with all the dust blowing from those windy areas out across eastern Washington. Absolutely horrible. And Brian, it might be fun, Brian, Director Brian, if we could look at maybe the Rose City camera showing the blue sky over Portland, and then go to maybe the Newport camera once again to show what we're dealing with, the variance of people seeing blue skies this morning and other people that can't see the sky at all. I don't know if Brian can.
So this is your idea of fun.
While he works
so look
there.
at this.
Yes.
I mean, I am shocked that wildfire smoke cleared out of Portland overnight. Now, it may be back today, but right now it's beautiful. And then, Brian, pick one of the cameras. I know Uquinta Bay was just horrible down in Newport. And we're getting reports that Salem and Corvallis and Albany are similar to this. That's Newport, where you just can't see the sky.
Well, we had that shot from the fairgrounds we showed earlier, and it is a lot smokier there, it appears, than it is certainly in downtown Portland, at least the way the Rose City Skycam just described downtown Portland. And there it is, a live picture from Salem. It's 7:23. You look outside the KGW TV studios windows, and it is looking like daylight. It looks like a summer morning. This does not look like that at all. Just a little further south this morning in Salem.
Lisa Herrera says we have an air purifier inside that helped us out. We closed all the windows because, you know, people with, I mean, even if you don't have upper respiratory issues, that is brutal to be out in.
Yeah.
A couple live updates. There's still a lot of folks without power right now. I just counted it up from PGE. It's about 85,000 Portland General Electric customers. And again, for the first time ever, 5,000 of those are up near Mount Hood and were shut off intentionally. This is a live look at their outage map and just all the red dots and all the zip codes. 85,000 PGE customers and 20-some thousand Pacific Power customers. I was just seeing on Twitter, Washington County Sheriff's Office spotted a new fire, this one near Hag Lake, just now. Near Gaston. It is not requiring evacuations or concerns right now, but they did post a big picture of quite a good smoke plume on the other side of Hag Lake. So keep in mind if you're out there too.
Wow. I hate to put this on you, Rod, but you're going to have to deal with the why, because obviously right now, based on what we're hearing from our viewers down in Corvallis, certainly in Salem, what we're seeing from these cameras like this shot right here, Salem and anything south, in a far different scenario than we experience or we're experiencing right now up here in Portland. So why is that? There must have been some sort of shift in the winds overnight, because I thought that Salem was actually going to be spared, sort of what we saw yesterday afternoon.
Well, so the winds must have had more of a southeasterly component initially yesterday that blew the smoke up all over Portland. Now more of just a dead east component is bullseyeing those central Oregon fire plumes over the mid-Willamette Valley, and for the time being sparing Portland. But again, it's a wild card today in terms of who could get spared, if anybody. The smoky haze right now, Portland is being spared, and I don't know if that continues to be the case or not. Air quality alerts are widespread for obvious reasons across the area. Drew, you set me up beautifully, and I really don't have an answer for you.
Yep, there you go. Sorry. But that makes a great point, because yesterday a lot of my neighbors we were talking about the smoke, and I said, this is actually coming, because I heard Matt say it late yesterday afternoon. This is coming, the smoke yesterday, mainly from eastern Washington. Matt was saying last night on the news the eastern Washington wildfires were bringing a lot of that smoke we saw in Portland late yesterday afternoon, early yesterday evening. Viewers chiming in from Oregon City this morning, and maybe that's a good point or a good time to bring up the point that Oregon City schools not having distance learning today, gang. And we thought, how crazy would it be is after all this time, and we waited to get these kids back up and learning through distance learning, if they couldn't do it today because the power was out.
Yeah.
That's exactly what happened in Oregon City. It's also happening in Jervis, correct. Those kids, they're going to have to wait at least 24 more hours to start their distance learning because of all the power outages in those communities.
Okay, all right, you guys, we got to wrap it up.
Yeah, going. Continue to weigh in and post your pictures and your comments. We'll be monitoring this conversation all day long, because this is the headline for the time being. Thanks, guys, for watching the stream. See you soon.